What is up, Isaac's Army? It is Wednesday night, and it's a beautiful night to search for the truth, and that's what we're here to do, like we do each and every time we come on live here. It's a beautiful night. John, Dave, what's up, boys? How we doing?
Good evening, good sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm excited about this one here.
Yeah.
You want to introduce the guest, Sean? Give us a little rundown about who we're going to talk to.
Well, in my humble opinion, I think we have a real heavy hitter on with us tonight. Somebody who's literally put his entire life on the line to make sure that the truth gets out and to save us from the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset and all of that crap that we're all so up in arms about. He's been to jail for this. He gave away his $200,000 career at T-Mobile to blow the whistle on just how T-Mobile is assisting. And he's blown the whistle on many other things in his local municipality as well. I'm honored, and it's my pleasure to bring to you. Please welcome, everybody, Marc Palasciano.
Yo, let's just get this out there.
Let's get it out there right now.
Full screen. Yeah. Yep. Good job.
All right. So we're going into some topics like that.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It really, that opening meant a lot to me because, that's, this is the first time I've been invited to tell my story and share my story with some people that really understand what I'm talking about. I've been grinding for over 2 years trying to tell my story. T-Mobile, I'm going to just jump right into it. I worked at T-Mobile for 17 years. And T-Mobile is the World Economic Forum's telecommunications company with all of the stuff needed for the fourth industrial revolution. They created the vaccine passports for the World Health Organization and the European Union. They created the digital ID that's being used in the European Union right now. They have a blockchain. They have social credit scores. They have the whole nine to really really enslave humanity with all the technology. I'm 42 years old, lifelong Texan.
Are you saying T-Mobile or the World Economic Forum or T-Mobile in general has this power?
Good question. So it's T-Mobile now, and when I say this, so you have T-Mobile USA, right? That's the company I worked at for 17 years here in Dallas, Texas. T-Mobile's parent company is Deutsche Telekom, and they're over in Germany. Deutsche Telekom used to be 100% owned by the German government. Now they're 33% owned by the German government. They have a few subsidiaries over there. One of them, the big one that really houses this technology that I'm talking about, is called T-Systems. When I say T-Mobile, I'm kind of talking about the whole umbrella. Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile, they created all this technology that I refer to. I call them the World Economic Forum's telecommunications company because the World Economic Forum is a big player in Germany, and this company is based out of Germany. So that's why I refer to them as that way. Yeah. Perfect. Oh, nice.
There we go.
That's my masterpiece right there. So if you go look at my X account on my pinned tweet, when I started in July of 2023, there was rumors of a layoff coming. So I raised my hand. I was actually plugged in with some T-Mobile executives. Like, I've grown up knowing some of these higher ups. One of them is the COO right now and his right-hand lady. And I requested to be laid off because I had found this information of all T-Mobile having all this technology, being the World Economic Forum's telecommunications company. And I wanted to leave my career and launch my own independent journalism platform because I believe, Elon Musk was my hero, and I believe that I was going to have free speech on X to do citizen journalism. So like you said earlier, I walked away from my career that, I built where I was making $200,000 a year. Then I turned down. So I raised my hand to be in this layoff process, and they weren't taking requests. So you didn't really get to request it. But like I said, I was plugged in these people, so I did. Then they offered me a severance package. My severance package, since I'd been there so long and I was a senior manager, was $150,000. $100,000 of it was cash. Some of it was stocks. And I was excited. I wanted to take the money. Well, of course, as I read it, I learned that it has a non-disclosure agreement with it, right? Pretty standard in all severance agreements, but I was a little naive kind of going through this whole process. I realized, holy shit, I can't. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I can cuss. Can I?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Cool. All right.
Did you see the intro video, dude?
Please.
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 The intro video said real, unfiltered conversation.
Okay, nice.
Let loose, brother.
All right, cool. And so, yeah, I turned down, once I saw there was an NDA in there, I was like, well, I can't take this money because the minute I start exposing T-Mobile's going to sue me and get a lot more from me than just the money that, I turned down in my severance. And so that's when, I
And this
create,
was
I,
all
br-
over you discovering all this, all this fuckery going on in T-Mobile.
Not, a little more than that. So, really my wake up started in 2020, when with the COVID lockdown. Now, my role at the time was I was a senior manager of business continuity, and I was actually tasked with keeping T-Mobile's stores open and our employees safe during COVID. And so that's when, I was plugged into all the data that was coming out of John Hopkins, the government on COVID.
That's an interesting position.
Yes, that's what helped me wake up is because I was plugged into all this information. I led the information dashboard that T-Mobile's senior executives used to know what stores were closed, how many employees we had out of each stores, how many had COVID, exposures. We were tracking when one employee would get COVID, all the employees around them. We would shut down stores from one person getting COVID. And so, yeah, I was in a very unique position at the time to be plugged into all this information. And that's, I was also dealing with
When did
wildfires out in California. Yeah.
when did it all click to you that like, holy shit, this is connected to Germany, which is connected to the WEF? Like, how did that
About,
come about?
Good question. About 2022. So from 2020 to 2022, I was in this business continuity role. I was learning all this stuff about COVID. T-Mobile was also violating my rights. I fought them here on the vaccine mandate in Texas. So, of course, they had a vaccine mandate. They locked me out of the office here in Texas for 10 months. Now, I will thankfully, at least Abbott had a protective order where they couldn't fire me because there are some states where employees that were unvaccinated lost their jobs. But for me, I just got locked out of the office for 10 months, which, sounds amazing. Some people are like, oh, you're working from home. But it wasn't for me. It was actually one of the most depressing times in my life because I'm a people person, right? And they kept
I
me,
went through the same shit. Horrible.
yeah,
I'd much
it
rather
was,
be in
it,
the office. You got to talk to somebody when something bad happens.
I was begging to go to the office. I'm like, guys, I'll come to the office and take a COVID test every single day. Like, but I'm not getting vaccinated. And so they were doing that. T-Mobile is also the most woke company in America at this time, between 2020, 2022. They were jamming all the transgender stuff down our throats. I shouldn't say it that way. But, they were pushing the transgender agenda. Uh, all their diversity, equity, inclusion. They have 10 diversity, equity, inclusion groups. And we used to get on calls. They would have company wide calls where they would host, Sanjay Gupta's brother's one of them, Dr. Vin Gupta. He was being paid by
I've seen
Amazon
that
at the
guy.
time
Yeah.
to talk to us about the vaccine, right? Ibram Kendi, they invited him on. He's the, I don't know, woke. He's a black guy that's super woke and racist. And he was here to talk about how white people need to feel sorry for black people and Black Lives Matter and all this. I mean, T-Mobile was just it was pretty crazy how woke that company was, and really it was woke the whole time before that. I didn't start waking up till 2020. I was in these diversity, equity, inclusion groups. I was actually an ally to the Pride group, the women's group, and the military group. Like I don't really have anything against gay people. My aunt was gay. People want to be gay, whatever. If they want to live their life that way, it doesn't impact me. If you want to be trans, whatever. If you're an adult, I think you're probably crazy or stupid for doing it, but it's not my business because I'm not going to have you insert yourself into my life, right? So
Just
I
stay away
supported
from the
that
kids.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, that's like a hard line right there. Like when you're an adult, do your thing. One thing, T-Mobile actually, they funded, they funded money towards the youth LGBTQ agenda. T-Mobile was very proud, and this is all stuff. I don't know exactly where to point you on my website about that, but I've documented all this stuff on, X, my website, my Substack website, which is my name. They're nice, dude. All right. MarcPalasciano.com. You can see I have a T-Mobile files section right there. Yeah. I mean, and so let's can you go scroll up a little bit and sort it by like top or whatever? What does that say? we should be able to, there, right there. See that trans mobile? We should be able to see that. Go down.
This
Oh,
year.
my bad.
Oh, this
Down
one.
and right. Yeah.
Oh man.
So unmasking
Oh, they got
T-Mobile's
baseball teams, all sorts of all like sports teams
team.
doing this shit. They have special jerseys now. It's madness.
Yep. And so this is, I exposed. Look at the date. What's the date on this? This is 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago.
2024.
2 years ago. I was exposing the transgender agenda and diversity, equity, inclusion before all these conservative news outlets started doing it, right? Because my goal was to go viral and have them pick up my story. And I was really, hopeful that these conservatives would celebrate me and this was going to launch my independent journalism career, right? And so, I exposed the whole transgender agenda there. But what I learned when I was doing this with the conservative, when I thought the conservative movement would celebrate me is, so you guys, have you heard of Patriot Mobile?
Yeah.
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 Is it
Patriot
a
Mobile is
Bongino thing?
it's a Bongino thing, a Charlie Kirk thing.
Does it come with a free
Beck
pizza?
thing. Yeah. Oh,
Alex
nice.
Jones. Is Alex Jones to it?
I don't think Alex Jones, but a
He
lot of
might
people in
be
this
now.
conservative movement. So Patriot Mobile is actually based here out of Dallas, and they use T-Mobile's network. That's what they hide from their consumers.
Well,
And
isn't
so
that a real
that's-
convenient way to spy on people that are in the Patriot movement? That seems all too convenient.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
The conservative movement doesn't understand that they're owned by the World Economic Forum, just like T-Mobile is, right? Now, when all this woke stuff was going on, during 2020 to 2022, there was actually a change.org petition where people were demanding T-Mobile drop Patriot Mobile. They didn't want T-Mobile giving them, because remember, it was woke during this time, and the left was running the show in America. So they were telling T-Mobile, you shouldn't let Patriot Mobile use their network. And so what happened is Patriot Mobile actually went and kind of reworded their marketing. And now they say they use all wireless networks. Well, that is the same as it was before, because T-Mobile technically has a roaming agreement with AT&T and Verizon. So you can say T-Mobile operates on all wireless networks, right? And so that's how the Patriot Mobile kind of rebranded their marketing. And you'll see that's what all these guys push. It's at the CPAC. It's all Patriot Mobile, conservatives, wireless carrier that is, believes in the First Amendment and free speech and exposing diversity, equity, inclusion. If you go look on my account, Patriot Mobile blocked me because I was exposing that these guys are working with T-Mobile, and they're based out of Dallas. I'm here in the Dallas area. These guys should all be celebrating me. I'm not trying to call myself a hero, but you guys recognize my story. I've been very heroic with what I've been doing and what I've been exposing. Those people should all be celebrating me. And instead, they're blocking me.
Here's the thing. A good portion of the most amplified voices we're finding out, and we're following money trails. Shout out to 7Cs. If you haven't seen him, you should check him out. But these money trails all go back to the same funding that funds Act Blue and all of these different things. The most amplified voices are all controlled by the same people, and it's all meant to just bring the entire country to a boiling point. And once that point hits, there's no going back, and they know this, and they're almost there. And you should be celebrated by this movement. And the fact that I'd say anybody within this movement that doesn't celebrate what you've contributed really probably doesn't belong in the movement, because you've done and you stand for everything that most people in this movement claim to stand for and support and rah on. But the minute somebody that isn't accepted doesn't talk about it, all of a sudden it doesn't seem to exist. And that's a load of crap. It's controlled opposition.
And that was a big wake-up call for me. That's what was, when I started telling my story, and I couldn't figure out why these conservatives would block me. So really it started with, you guys know primetime Alex Stein 99, right? That dude was one of my heroes. He kept, during COVID, he was making me laugh. And he's here in Dallas too, right? He was going to city councils, recording his vaccine video. He was keeping me entertained. And he's someone who inspired me to leave my job and to start speaking up. He followed me, and he was actually one of the first people that shared one of my posts. I was exposing T-Mobile's gender transition guide, because T-Mobile had a 4-page document that managers would use to coach people through a gender transition. If you have an employee, it broke down every step of what you're supposed to do to help the employee come out. So anyway, Primetime, he retweets it and shares it. Well, then 2 months later, he unfollows me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? That's because he worked at Blaze. Then he got a job, or he was working at Blaze TV. And I'm sure Glenn Beck put him in check and was like, hey, dude, you can't support this guy that's exposing T-Mobile because it exposes Patriot Mobile, which is one of our big sponsors.
And now he's just a
Yeah,
disruptor.
I had that happen to me with Laura Logan. As soon as I started talking about General Flynn, and she was told to unfollow me for sure, because I didn't even interact with Laura Logan at all. But she was following me, and then all of a sudden I was going off on Flynn, just kind of putting all his dirty laundry out there. And next thing I know, she's unfollowed me, and yeah, a couple other accounts that were following me. He definitely runs an operation on here on X and social media.
I'm glad you brought up Laura Logan because she was also so if you look on my pinned tweet on my X, it's I recorded my first video and then I shared what I call my masterpiece, which is this. And it's really it's asking questions to expose that T-Mobile has all this technology. She shared it, she retweeted it. And then the next day I replied to one of her tweets with my video sharing how T-Mobile is really the German government, and she blocked me. And I was like, what the heck's
Holy
going
shit,
on?
yeah.
The day she shared
controlled out.
and this is actually, might be 2 years ago to the date. No, it was like January 13th, 2024. I was like, she made my day. It was like, man, I've even made an image where it said, look, Mom, I made it because she shared my stuff. And then the next day she blocked me and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And so it was kind of my wake up call of how the conservative movement and Team MAGA was bought and paid for, because I was Team MAGA 2020 to 2023. These are the guys that, helped me wake up.
You're talking that everybody in here was.
Like, why did they block you? Isn't that just like obvious? Like, what? Just stay following you and be your opponent. Like, I don't understand that. It's like somebody blocks like your account, like Flynn blocked the Cappy account. Like, what?
Why he unblocked me?
Like, it's just, why would you even bother in the first place? That means now we know, like.
Yeah. Back
weird.
then, you couldn't see the account, but I had everybody has a burner. You go use your burner to go pull up the other person's account. Now, at least when they block you, I like how you can still see their account here on X. But that's where I kind of started realizing, like, holy smoke. Well, it took me a while to realize it, but my story exposes a lot of truth Americans aren't supposed to know, because I say that my story single-handedly exposes the entire conservative movement in the United States of America. I've been exposing everything they talk about: diversity, equity, inclusion, transgender stuff, wokeism. I mean, they should be all telling. I should have already been on Fox News by now, right? But we all know that.
Yeah, for sure, dude. That Patriot Mobile one's blowing my mind. Do you know, like, roughly how many people are on the Patriot Mobile network?
I don't, but there's, they have, I don't think it's that many,
John,
right?
Pull that up. Ask Grok or something. But yeah, go ahead, man. I was just that should blow up, like, the whole conservative grift. You know what I mean? Like, these are, like you said, those are all the big names pushing that.
Big time. Yeah, and this, I was even retweeting, like, hey, it was Bongino, Charlie Kirk, Glenn Beck. Their image was on there. And I'm like, hey, Patriots, I'm right here. Like, pay attention to me. I'm exposing some real stuff you should care about. But it didn't dawn on me. It took me a while to figure out, like, holy smokes, it's because T-Mobile uses Patriots Network. T-Mobile's the World Economic Forum's telecommunications company. What do you got there?
Seeing around 100,000 or just under 100,000.
Yeah, see, it's not a lot.
No.
These smaller players,
they're even, like, in business.
Well, what most people don't understand is there's only 3 wireless networks in the United States of America. It's T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T. Every other smaller carrier you see is using one of those 3 networks. And so what they're doing is just really, they're able to market themselves, but Patriot Mobile is renting network space from T-Mobile to run their operation.
Okay.
I see. That's what, when they say that, and that's how they did the damage control, by saying, oh, we're on everybody's network. Yeah, this is forever. Like that was okay.
Yep. Because that took it away to where that took the heat off T-Mobile, and then it also let them, nobody, they all think that Patriot uses all 3 networks. It's like, no, they're still in bed with T-Mobile. The other one, Trump Mobile was supposed to launch by now, and it hasn't. Trump Mobile was also partnering with T-Mobile's network. And the House Democrats last year actually requested information from T-Mobile because they're accusing Trump and T-Mobile of having a quid pro quo, where they are asking why T-Mobile got so much spectrum. Wireless spectrum is how all the phone calls are made, right? It's all the wireless airwaves. And so Trump gave a lot of wireless spectrum to T-Mobile in the one big beautiful bill. And they're asking questions like, hey, did you do that because T-Mobile is going to give you a better offer running your network? And so that might be why Trump Mobile is delayed right now. Or I don't know why, but anyway, that's just another fun fact about T-Mobile in America. I got so much to talk about.
It's wild Trump can even like sell that kind of stuff while being in office. It's just so crazy. We're just living in crazy times, dude. So how did this escalate from here? So you're finding out all this information. It's blowing your mind. You can't live with it anymore. You put in the resignation letter, or you asked to be. Did you word it again?
I asked to be laid off. So they were doing a layoff, and I was plugged into higher ups where I could ask to be laid off. So I was like, let me go. Okay. Let me go start telling my story. And so, but good. You kind of. Sorry, I went down a couple rabbit holes there, but. You asked me, like, when did I kind of realize it was the World Economic Forum, right? I was still employed at the time, and it was 2022, and I realized, I was researching, going down rabbit holes. And then one day I just fell into...
Yeah, that time we all were, yeah.
Yeah, and I fell into the World Economic Forum and T-Mobile being partnered together, and then I went to T-Systems and Deutsche Telekom and saw they had the vaccine passports for the World Health Organization. And, then I was actually back in the office at this time. It was a sick feeling going to work every day. Every day I was like, I knew all this information about the company that I was working at, and I couldn't, like, no one really appreciated the information, obviously, at work, right? Everybody's asleep there. And I felt like I had to get it out. And so that's when I started coming out, telling my story. And then, like I said, I was sharing it, got blocked by the conservatives. And so then I got censored on Elon's platform. In January and February, 2 years ago of 2024, I had 6.5 million impressions back to back, January, February. I even exposed Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson having an affair with his chief of staff. I was speaking up about Zoetis, how Zoetis is the company that Pfizer owns, and that's how they poison our pets, because my dog had gotten cancer, and I went down that rabbit hole. Whoa. Yeah, and so all these stories that I was creating that were getting attention on X and were going viral. And, then in March, I was shut down and had barely like 50,000 impressions. And, I was getting a little depressed there because I walked away from my career. I turned down a lot of money. I'm not making money. Sure. And my whole plan like fell apart. And so I got, that's when I decided I needed to level up my approach. And so one thing I regret is I started texting T-Mobile, the T-Mobile executive that I told you I do. I started texting them because I was pissed off that I was censored. And I started texting them the stories that I was publishing to my website. And I started talking a little shit. I was asking them, like, if the CEO's dick tastes good. I was doing some trolling, texting some stuff I shouldn't have, nothing violent, nothing threatening, but I was just pissed off, right? So then I decided to go to his neighborhood and pass out a flyer, which I got it right here. This is on my web. You probably can't see it good here, but anyway, you'll find it on my website. But so he lives in the neighborhood here around, in Prosper, Texas. I shouldn't say his name. I need to be careful with some of this, but I went and passed out flyers to every house in this gated community. Right, I'm walking around the gated community, putting flyers on the doorstep. Nothing mentions his name. It just is exposing T-Mobile and my T-Mobile stories, right? And so then, he calls the police, files harassment charges on me. Then it took like 10 months for us to go. You didn't
mention his name at all.
I didn't mention his name at all. And the only reason they were able to charge me for harassment was because of the text messages. Going to his neighborhood and passing out flyers didn't break the law, right? Like that's like Girl Scouts going and selling cookies door to door. Sure. But I messed up by sending these text messages. That's why I said I regret those. But it took us 10 months to go to trial. Well, I was emailing the Collin County DA, the elected officials in Collin County sharing that I was a whistleblower and this charge would need to be dropped. And, I was swinging. And that was another big mistake is I ended up pissing off the Collin County DA to where, him and T-Mobile, they really showed me who the boss was. I had my trial in August. My trial was supposed to be May of last year, 2025. Well, 3 days before the trial starts, the state requested to rewrite my harassment charge because in my harassment charge, it had a lie saying that I repeatedly text him after being told to stop. He never asked me to stop texting. And I sent probably maybe 30 messages over a 2-month period, 30 to 45 messages over a 2-month period. Never once asked me to stop. But in the police charge, it said that he told me to stop. So in May, right before my trial, the state rewrites the charge and removes that part of it. They remove the lie out of it. And then they punt the trial out to August. Well, between that time period, they filed a warrant and got all of my social media account information. The only way I knew about this was because Meta emailed me saying, hey, we got a search warrant for your social media, and they were going to give it up. X didn't even tell me. And X handed over my entire account. Elon's X handed over my entire account to the Prosper Police Department for them to go through. And this was months. This was way out. This was, like 8 months after I had been charged for harassment. And so what they did is they rewrote the charge and said that I sent repeated electronic communications. So then they used my free speech against me. They used my posts on X against me to prosecute me.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then what was crazy is I had this is in Collin County. I had a constitutional conservative judge. All of a sudden in my trial in August, 3 days before my trial begins, I learned my constitutional judge is now out of town. And I have a retired liberal judge from Dallas running my trial. So
funny how that works.
It was pretty wild. Then, I ended up getting sentenced to the maximum for a Class B misdemeanor of harassment, which was 6 months in the Collin County Jail. I spent 3.5 months in there because I was part of the sheriff's inmate work program where I got 2 days credit for every 1 day worked. And so I was in jail from, August 13th to November 23rd.
Jeez, man.
So you knew the mission and you were just determined to do whatever you could to get back to spreading that message. And that's commendable, man.
I never would have. That's the other thing. I never would. I actually apologized and regret for texting these T-Mobile executives. I never should have done that. But I also didn't know what else to do. I had been censored into not even existing. Right. And so I just knew that I had to keep going and keep telling my story.
I mean, where do whistleblowers go? Right. You just got to blow it up yourself if nobody is going to embrace you.
Yep. And that's why, so part of it during that whole time where I was, out on bond and waiting for my trial, I started going outside of T-Mobile's office here that I worked out in Frisco, Texas. And that's where all these signs come from. I was holding all these signs on the street and I recorded videos. Elon Musk censored T-Mobile whistleblower. I was holding all of these at the corner of the Tollway and Warren Parkway. With my QR barcodes. I mean, I was like,
that's awesome. Yeah, dude, I got much respect for anyone that goes and hits the street for something that they're passionate about, dude. Much respect.
Yeah. That's what's crazy is America's just falling apart and it's all these corporations that are destroying us from within. And I don't know why, God blessed me to be this one guy that's like exposing T-Mobile as the World Economic Forum's telecommunications company. There isn't another, as far as I'm aware, there isn't another whistleblower in the United States of America that is exposing a corporation like I've exposed T-Mobile and, being censored into barely existing. I see. Yeah. You got my, so one thing is I learned I needed to start talking about other topics because you guys understand what I'm talking about, T-Mobile and the fourth industrial revolution and the Great Reset. But let's be real. The average American they're too asleep to understand that. And so I started going to local city councils and speaking up. I started telling my story. But then what I also started to, so the T-Mobile office I worked out of is in Frisco. I went to Frisco, Texas City Council, started sharing my story because I wanted them to care. I wanted them to help get my charges dropped. Like, don't prosecute me as a whistleblower, and help me. And then I learned that this city council doesn't care, right? They're corrupted to the core too. So I started exposing recently the H-1B visas and how Frisco, Texas has been taken over by the Indian population. So you guys are aware of all the Somalian fraud that's going on in Minnesota right now.
I've learned a lot about it.
Yeah, what's not being talked about is the Indian takeover that happened here in North Texas, and it's starting to get a little bit more traction online, but the H-1B fraud and how there's, thousands of people coming from India and they're living over here in America and they're taking, American jobs, but there's some of these Indians that are running, they call them body shops, where it's like they say they have like 23 Indian people working at this one location for an IT company. And so I've been, going to the city council. I was there last night and I spoke and I asked the mayor.
You want us to show a clip of that?
Yeah, dude. Go. It should be.
I got it right here.
I think we got it up already.
Sweet.
Let's do it. Full screen that, John.
Nice.
Intro us a little better into that. Because you kind of, I was about to. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's all good. Yeah, this is me last night. It's a 4-minute clip. It's me last night going to speak up and talk to the Frisco City Council and ask them very pointed questions about their Indian donors and how they're involved in H-1B and why the Frisco mayor has people that don't even live in Frisco donating a lot of money to them.
Okay, God. All right, let's check it out.
All right, guys, I'm back. Did you guys miss the T-Mobile whistleblower? I bet you didn't. I spent 3.5 months in the Collin County jail because the state of Texas and Collin County said I weaponized free speech in the First Amendment. What a joke my corrupt trial was. They even changed out my constitutional judge from Collin County with a retired liberal judge from Dallas because that's how you weaponize the judiciary system to go after someone speaking up. But don't worry, I'm not here to talk about me and my story today. I'm here to talk about the Indian takeover in Frisco and H-1B fraud. I'm sure you all have seen the Somalian fraud in Minnesota, and a lot of people are starting to talk about Frisco being taken over by Indians and being the largest hub for H-1B employment in America. Over the last 20 years, Frisco's Indian population has exploded by 4,510%, from 2% of the population to 33% of the population. As a reminder from the last time I spoke in June and July, let me remind you of the mayor's donations. In 2021, 10% of donations above $1,000 were from people with Indian last names. In 2023, 55% of donations above $1,000 were from people with Indian last names. A 450% increase in donations above $1,000 from people with Indian last names. That seems like a red flag to me. Now, let me ask a few questions to the mayor and city council that I don't expect you guys to answer, but I'm going to ask them anyway. Mayor Cheney, for 2023, why were 4 of your top donors Indian people not living in Frisco or even Collin County and donating $5,000 to you? I don't understand why someone would donate to a mayor that doesn't represent them unless that mayor represents business interests that make them money. I'm sure it's just a coincidence that all of you are in real estate business and those 4 donors have over 158 businesses registered in their name. Bert, Frisco's first Indian city council member, I got a few questions for you too. Why did you use a consulting firm where the CEO was convicted of fraud? Why is one of your biggest donors an Indian in the North Texas real estate business that doesn't live in Frisco? Why is another one of your biggest donors a white resident in Dallas in real estate? Why does one of your biggest donors have 4 companies hiring H-1B employees? And why does one of your donors have 23 H-1B companies registered to one address? I'll end my questions there. We'll see if your constituents or any news outlets apply pressure and force you guys to answer these questions. As a reminder, I started speaking at Frisco City Council in April 2025 to expose T-Mobile as a whistleblower because one of their headquarters is right here in Frisco, Texas, the one I worked out of. All of you should have helped me, but all of you have decided to support a corporation over your oath to the Texas and United States Constitution. And let's not forget in July of last year when you partnered with the PGA to have me criminally trespassed for exercising my First Amendment right. I posted the body cam footage to my YouTube if anyone wants to see what happened. I'm a 42-year-old lifelong Texan, and it's absolutely sad what's going on in Texas and the United States of America. Every elected official is bought and paid for, and the corruption goes deeper than people can imagine. If you're interested in my story or want to support me, check out my Substack website or find me on X, Instagram, or YouTube. It's hard to find me because I've been severely shadow banned. Make sure you spell my name correctly. MarcPalasciano.com. MarcPalasciano. I would also be on TikTok, but T-Mobile got me banned the same day I had my first court date. And before I go, I got one more question. Did Frisco drop the charges for January 6th insurrectionist Jake Lang trespassing on Frisco ISD property? Frisco spent $50,000 on police overtime for his Protect White Americans protest that 15 people showed up to. And then he recorded himself breaking into the stadium where Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf. Frisco announced charges being filed, but I couldn't find anything in Collin County's court system. Have a wonderful night, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to show Texans how corrupted the city of Frisco is. I'll see you guys February 3rd at the next meeting. Thank you.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Yeah, then I had to finish it off with the Jake Lang. So Jake, we all know that guy's controlled opposition, and he had his Protect White Americans protest here because a black kid stabbed a white kid, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. If you guys have heard about the story, and I went to his Protect White Americans protest. I also have a video of that on my YouTube where I'm up there just holding my sign because these guys should all care about what I'm exposing. And I went to Jake Lang's protest and exposed that he didn't care about the same stuff that he pretends to talk about.
Sure. Yeah. No. He. That's quite the psyop, the Jake Lang psyop we're getting pushed right now. It's kind of it's gonna pull a lot of boomers in, I imagine, but like people that aren't hip to what all this madness can be, like these provocateurs that they supply us with.
In my eyes, it seems like there seems to be like a trend with these type of controlled opposition things. They go to like the most extreme possible to make the most noise on both sides. And it's almost like, my weird theory that I kick around in my head sometimes, it's almost like a real life simulation and a real life test to group people off into like the extreme on one side and the extreme on the other side, just so there's a way to identify, who's supporting and who's opposition. It's a good way to list people if you know what I'm getting at.
It really feels like that. You're right, man, for sure.
Yeah, they got to keep people involved in the culture war so they're not paying attention to the class war. They're not paying attention to how the dollar's being destroyed over the past few years. They're not paying attention to the fact gold and silver are hitting all-time highs right now because they're purposely destroying us from within and putting those actors here to keep people distracted. Something I know you guys really appreciate too is, do we talk about Freemasonry here on this podcast?
Absolutely. You can go however you want, brother.
Check out our Rumble history, and you'll see something called the Occult Apocalypse Show, and then you'll go on.
So this, I think there's a lot of ties to Freemasonry, and then Germany. Like, I don't believe Hitler lost. I think he ran off to Argentina, so on and so forth. But, T-Mobile sponsors the MLB. Well, what does the baseball field look like?
That's right.
So,
baseball. It's the super Masonic, dude. The 3 outs, 3 strikes. The numbers all add up. I've seen that theory thrown around, and it definitely adds up.
And T-Mobile is the number one sponsor of the MLB. Don't think it's
like in baseball.
the only way I try to explain like the Freemason thing to people like in a simplified way, and it's like the only way like all these conspiracies can happen that we all think are happening is if you have a connection of people that are in high level positions, and basically Freemasonry is like where they can like network and basically pick like the top ones that they like to be in positions of certain players that they need in certain areas. I mean, if people think the Charlie Kirk thing was a planned assassination attempt, like you would need a group like the Freemasons involved. You'd have to have a doctor that was a Freemason. You'd have to have some cops that were Freemasons that were involved. I mean, that's the only way something of that grand scale could actually get pulled off. So yeah, totally, I could totally see them involved with that.
Yeah, that's where I know that I'm exposing a lot of evil in this world, which is why it brings a lot of censorship. And I've lost a lot of friends, my family. I don't talk to my parents anymore. Like it's when you go through these periods where you're exposing evil stuff in our world, it inflicts pain on you, right? And so I've had to really kind of overcome a lot of that, a lot of those emotions and a lot of that stuff. Another crazy thing about T-Mobile, go to my T-Mobile files and let's try and scroll back to June of last year. You're going to see where it's going to be a stock. It's going to have a picture of their stock. June 2025. It might be June 2024, one or the other. Keep going.
2024, where's the... Okay.
Oh, it's June 2024. My bad. It's definitely
Okay.
June 2024. And I'm going to now I remember why. So...
All right, get off me for a second so I don't make people sick with my scrolling.
See how many stories? You see how many stories I've published? Sorry, the T-Mobile files a little
hard in the paint, bro. I love it.
Nuts.
Well, man, there's so much. I have all these different angles of I exposed T-Mobile giving Gavin Newsom $12 million, right? But check this out. So there are no coincidences. T-Mobile pumped their stock to an all-time high on 6/6/24, which is 666. Not only that, scroll down, look, and you'll see one of the office. This office was right by my cubicle. 4E666. What kind of company would they don't even have the 13th floor in some of these buildings, but they have an office that has 666 on it.
Jesus.
And that's where I really realized that all of this evil was just trolling me, and
man,
dude, you can't ignore stuff like that.
No. And T-Mobile, they got away with in 2024, they sold over $5.4 billion worth of stock. Deutsche Telekom is the parent company, and they were printing money out of the stock market with this. And I was exposing how much the insiders were selling because for some reason, well, not for some reason, T-Mobile's protected from being exposed is what I learned. But you couldn't find a single story online about T-Mobile selling stock except for me exposing it.
Damn.
That's why. Have you gone down any of the rabbit holes of any of the other cellular companies and kind of the webs they're involved in?
No, but I know AT&T and Verizon, these guys have been plugged into the CIA and all sorts of stuff. Hey, scroll down just a little bit. You'll like this one too. That right there, is that HARP? Weather modification. So you guys know T-Mobile is partnered with Elon's Starlink. Well, I believe that Elon's Starlink and T-Mobile's 5G is the new HARP, that they're able to do weather modification. And then also here in North Texas, now over the past 2 years, we have auroras. We just have auroras that came out of nowhere and people accepted it. They're like, go outside and check this out. I'm pretty sure that has to do with the 5G technology and Elon's Starlink, and probably digs into Project Bluebeam a little bit.
Did you ever notice that after these auroras, something noticeably terrible always happens? And we were live at 2 a.m. the other day, and I brought up that there was just a solar flare storm, but other people were speculating that it could be something to do with HARP, or in this case, now we've found out the change. But, and I don't know if you noticed, they're talking 3 inches of ice in the mid-Atlantic region, and if there's 3 inches of ice on any kind of power line that's suspended above ground, it's not staying up. So, I mean, we're talking like massive damage to the grid and extreme cold and lots of lives lost. And it's kind of funny how, you know, these things always tend to coincide, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, too many coincidences. Way too. Oh, that's, you know, spraying the skies, and I mean, it's crazy here. You know, I was at the pool one day, and all of a sudden I get an X sprayed over me, and then there's a halo. There's a double halo around the sun.
Look at that.
It's like this didn't used to
They spray
happen.
my local beach with an X like daily. Like it's crazy. Like
It's over here
like
too in
a very
Dallas.
distinct X.
So you got to ask yourself,
Yeah,
what are
it's
they
wild.
trying to get the water to do? What are they trying to create with
It's.
this?
I mean, that's why.
And everybody gay.
That's where you know. People
Oh, well,
turn
here you
gay.
go. Here's some of those
And people are
catastrophic
getting
events.
sick, you know, they're getting some of those vaccine nanobots to react to it. You know,
Dude.
that's another thing too. You hear a lot about
yeah, dude.
people talking about 5G, right? T-Mobile is the most advanced implementers of 5G in the world. They're the number one player when it comes to 5G.
Yeah, we actually turned down some sponsorship money from a company called the Wellness Company.
You shut your mouth, Dave. You shut your mouth, Dave. Down for a moment from our heroes, our sponsors, and the guiding force behind We Want Answers. John, for the Wellness Company.
That's it.
That's
I'm
it?
done with it.
Come on.
That's it. I'm done.
Right now? That's
I
I don't
He's
even
got
have my
tonight.
wellness company
Come
mug.
on.
Dr.
It's in the
McCullough is
wash.
going to be pissed off, man. He's
No
not gonna be happy
ivermectin
with
for
this
you,
performance.
bud.
They do this every episode to me. The guy that says the least, they bring it on here.
But yeah,
Well, hey, man.
they tried. It was really bizarre, Mark. You would kind of appreciate this story. So we know you said you've heard Seven Seas work. I was going to do an interview with him, and it wasn't even about the Wellness Company at all. And we agreed to do the interview through DMs. And like 3 hours later, after I confirmed the interview with him, like it was going to be in a couple days, the Wellness Company sends me a DM. And I'd never even heard of the Wellness Company at that point. And they're like, hey, we would love to collaborate with you, have you make some commercials for us, and, you know, you QR codes, all that kind of bullshit. And I was just like, that's kind of, I don't know, that could be a good thing. And then I kind of go look at the Wellness Company, and the first thing that pops up is Seven Seas exposing them like that day. And then, so you're going to tell me it's a coincidence that I booked Seven Seas, and then all of a sudden the Wellness Company's offering me a contract the same day, and he's the only one talking about all the stuff that they're, you know, where all that money that they make is going to, and all these influencers that they're involved with. I don't know if
Yep.
you've known that rabbit hole yet, but
Yep.
they have a patent for nanotechnology, and that's when I was like, nope. Count me out, man. I don't want to be selling any of that shit to anybody.
Yeah, it's wild when you start peeling back the layers of, you know, who these companies sponsored and who they're partnered with. You know, a lot of these supposed truth tellers, you know, on X are, you know, sponsored by these people that are pushing agendas like that.
They may not even know it. You know, they half of them, you know, useful idiots.
That is part of it too. I
Mhm.
also keep that in mind. Like, not everybody, they don't know some of them don't know they sold their soul. This is a career for them, and they have to make money doing it, and they're just pushing it. So yeah, you have some useful idiots out there, and then you have some people that probably know they're doing
I
nefarious
also think
things, but
people get like
probably the
kind of
majority
trapped
are
in their
useful
own.
idiots.
I think people get kind of like trapped in their own loops too. Like, you know, when you start saying things, you start believing things. Like you start seeing other people who are saying the same things, and you start to like kind of flock to right opinions. And the people who are amplified the most, pretty much, you know, are saying a lot of the things that when you're in this field trying to do this patriot thing, that you're thinking too. And, you know, that circle closes little by little by little by little. And once we get to the point where they're only listening to the trumpeted, controlled opposition, and that's where you have it. And then you got 10 influencers that everybody likes accepting some stupid deal that they get shamed about 2 days later. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's gotten out of hand, and that's why I say my story single-handedly exposes those people because on this conversation
Many
alone
layers
in the
of it
past,
too, not just one layer.
yeah, no, we've been talking for 55 minutes, and I have exposed transgenderism, diversity, equity, and inclusion, 5G, vaccine mandates. I mean, the list goes on and on. This is what most of these guys have built their platforms on, and they should all be sharing my story and telling people about T-Mobile.
I feel like in the future, maybe
Yeah, I mean, just
maybe.
the MAGA movement alone. Yeah, go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I feel like we've only like scratched the surface on all of these different things that you've exposed, and I don't know if all the boys would agree. I would assume with how awesome this has been so far that they would, but maybe we have a recurring series with you where you come on, we pick one of these things you exposed and dig deep into it. That way, you get to tell every little facet and every little detail of these things and really expose it.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome because I've kind of word vomited on you guys. I went all sorts of different angles
But that's
with
good
That's what
for
my
the
story
happens
first
with
because
one.
us.
there's
We're
so
all
much
diagnosed
to.
with some sort of like ADD or ADHD or whatever the fuck they want to call it.
Gets
Yeah,
worse with
And we don't
every
take
I'm
our
cloud
starting.
meds.
dust that hits our nose. Go
Yeah, I feel
outside.
like that's just free thinking these days. Like it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't need to medicate myself for just being a free thinker.
free thinking
Mm.
is bigoted and racist. You should not say that here.
Yeah,
I preach love. You know what? Everyone should coexist, and I believe there should be a pentagram in the middle of the coexist.
Let me put a septum ring nose overlaid over your face right
Oh,
now.
you
Hold on.
mean
I'm
you
just
mean
kidding.
the leash connector? Those are leash connectors, John. Get it right. Come on, man. Now, Dave, what were you saying? Unless you forgot.
Oh, the Patriot Mobile thing just blows my mind because, like you said, man, like that alone should have had anyone in this MAGA movement up in arms, or anyone that bought that shit or even entertained it, or I am sure they did an aggressive. Yeah, of course we talked about it. They did an aggressive campaign with
Oh yeah.
influencers pushing that stuff. Um, yeah, I mean that one's crazy. I didn't realize you had blown Team Patriot Mobile up like that.
yeah. I have one. I think I am trying to find a story. I have a story on my website on the T-Mobile files where I made a nice meme that was just exposing the fact that you know the the world is owned by they have think about the conservatives being Patriot Mobile and the wokesters being T-Mobile, and the World Economic Forum owns all of it because they have the left and right owned through
Yep.
these wireless companies.
Well, I think that's kind of what
Yeah.
they did with Trump also. They got the left wing people to agree to these certain, the the sorry, the like the weather and everything destroying the world. They got everyone to buy into that on the left. So then now on the right, they needed to get everybody to buy into the technocracy. So it's just one thing that there's one person behind this entire umbrella, but they're making you believe that you're on a different side.
Oh yeah, that's like with the whole kind of takeover and immigration. Like Biden opened the floodgates for all of these immigrants from the South to come here. And what pissed me off about Texas is Greg Abbott spent my tax money and bust and flew all these migrants around the United States. And then now you have Trump using ICE going to get them. So the teams play together. Team Biden
I was
teed it
just
up by
saying this with
bringing
a
all the
friend. Yeah.
immigrants in. And then now Trump's looking
Yep.
like the hero getting rid of them. But they did it on
Well,
purpose.
they're probably tracking them with those free phones that they got from Biden. I imagine a lot of people are getting tracked down by those free
Yep.
phones. So yeah, this was probably a plan. I'm sure I'm certain it was a plan from the beginning.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think a lot of those phones were AT&T. I do know that when I was working at T-Mobile, during 2020, 2022, we were giving phones to, remember when we brought the Afghanistan refugees over? We gave them,
Yeah.
50,000 phones from Metro by T-Mobile. This is this is a nice screenshot. You guys can see I've been tracking my censorship like crazy. Like that's one of my things at T-Mobile. I was in operations, very heavy in data and analytics. And so I made all these screenshots as I was being censored on Elon's platform, showing what I was tweeting, how I got locked down. On top of exposing T-Mobile since I started being censored, I feel that I've documented one of the biggest stories exposing censorship on Elon's platform. On my Substack website, I have T-Mobile files, but I'll also have X Twitter files. And that's where I've shown all the data, documentation, examples of how I've been censored. And Elon's platform, he didn't buy X to give us free speech. He bought X to buy free speech so he could program his AI Grok to learn faster. And on top of that, we have all been exposing ourselves for them to create digital IDs for us by using our own info. On my website, I show where Grok kept learning me more and more based on the stories I was publishing on Substack and my tweets, to where it explained what I do better than how I can even explain it, right? And then they were able to reverse engineer that information and censor me on all platforms. I show how I was being deleted from Google. Like I could go to Google, you could search my name and I would find pictures. You would see my old mugshots. You would see everything that had to do with me. Then all of a sudden you look me up on Google and I'm a ghost. You can't find me. I would go into Brave browser and do a search and I could actually see my images again. And so in real time, I was watching myself be deleted from the internet. And, Elon's platform played a big role in me exposing myself and them using that to censor me. People in America are waiting for the government to tell them they already have digital IDs. I'm here to say we already have digital IDs. They already know who you are online. They already know how to limit your reach on social media. They already know how to control our lives. You talk about one thing and then an advertisement of whatever you're talking about pops up the next day on your phone. It's pretty obvious we already have digital IDs. Look at all these conservatives that I'm showing blocked me.
Alex Stein,
Billboard Chris. Hey, y'all know Robbie Starbuck. Do you know his name's really Robert Starbuck Newsom?
Come on, man.
No way.
Dude, his name is Robert Starbuck Newsom.
Well, I know he comes from like the Hollywood world, right?
Yes, he does. He was making, music videos in his 20s. I can't find who his dad is, and I'm pretty good at researching, finding information. I could never find who Robert Starbucks Newsom dad is, and really why he pisses me off.
Cuban descent, right?
I think he does. Yes, and he's out there talking about all the diversity. He's like the hero exposing diversity, equity, inclusion, and transgenderism. And this guy's blocking me. It's like, dude, you're making money grifting off of stories like mine. I should be out here exposing DE&I. He took credit for T-Mobile getting rid of their DEI too, which is such a freaking joke.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That guy's always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yep. Robert Starbuck Newsom is his real name.
Jeez.
No way.
Yeah.
They all got fake names. You got JD Vance with the fake name. Our vice president's name isn't even JD Vance.
The hell's his name?
Like, what the fuck world are we living in?
What's his name?
What's his name?
Change your name and rebrand yourself. What is it? Ask the AI brain that fucking is tracking our brains and learning everything about us.
Well, in maybe about 6 or so months, you'll automatically get a search result that pops up in your glasses, just based on your thought.
I want those glasses.
Right?
I know. I shouldn't.
That's the other thing too. I'm a tech nerd. I love tech, man. I still own a Tesla. I drive a Tesla. Like I'm a nerd, and that's the crazy thing is I like all this technology, but I also understand how it's being used to enslave humanity.
I'm kind of in the same boat too.
How long do we got till it's like an AI dystopia?
2 years,
dude. I mean, half the time I'm on X, I don't even know like if somebody's replying to me if they're a bot or a real person. Like now, I just assume it's a bot. If they
some
say
of these
something
accounts
stupid.
that are huge. Yeah, they're just posting Grok, whatever they say. Grok, make a tweet for me, and they just post it, and it'll get millions of views and stuff. It's crazy. It's like you don't even got to think at all anymore.
You don't. But yeah, his name is James Donald Bowman, by the way. JD Vance.
What the fuck?
Is he
Why can't you just?
Bowman.
Is he an illegitimate child of Scotty Bowman? Because there is sort of a resemblance there. They got that round face.
His parents divorced. Wait. Oh. Okay.
I'm sure you guys have seen the video. How he was like super anti-Trump. Like,
Oh, he was
calling him a Nazi.
he was a big time never Trumper, and the real ones were talking about it. But after he got nominated, and everybody had questions, but most of the people got won over by rhetoric and words, which is.
I
usually
think
enough to
probably
do it.
all of us were agreeing. I don't know. I was hoping he was going to win when he won this last one. But as soon as I saw him pick JD Vance, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is definitely going to be bad. Like, I was kind of out at that point. Because, how can you pick someone that's calling you a Nazi? And then when everyone started bringing up the Peter Thiel connections, I'm like, oh no, this is going to get bad. They're going to scoop everybody up, and and his whole base is going to be clapping for the handcuffs.
And that's what was crazy during that too, is Trump was kicked off of social media from 2020 to 2022, couldn't use it. Then all of a sudden, the big tech companies that hated him gave him his accounts back for the perfect time to run his election. And then he became the hero online. Like, that's what made me realize, like, and I was a big believer in the 2020 election being stolen. I dug into all this data, mail-in ballots, because of COVID. And then I watched, Lindell's Cyber Symposium and all that stuff. And I was like, they totally stole this election. And then years later, it's just Trump gets right back in. You can tell they're just playing both sides. And these guys aren't elected. They're selected, and they're playing key roles. The other interesting thing about Trump is, T-Mobile merged with Sprint in 2020. Trump's previous administration was the one who approved the T-Mobile and Sprint merger, and it had been talked about for years, and Obama would never approve it. And Trump finally did, and what that did was the owner of Sprint was Masayoshi's son. You guys are familiar with him, the SoftBank guy, the SoftBank billionaire, and Japanese billionaire. He owns Sprint, and T-Mobile, like I said, is really owned by the German government, and so Trump allowed T-Mobile to buy Sprint, which was really just a connection of World Economic Forum players making a business deal. The
webs are crazy, man. It's never ending. So
it doesn't.
Where are you at right now with this? Just trying to get the story out? I mean, do you have anything lined up, or?
My goal this year is to really join more people that will even platform me. Like, you guys don't know how much it means for me that y'all are interested in my story, allowing me to talk about my story. This is the first time I've been invited to talk on someone's platform.
That's crazy.
It's nuts. And I've been trying to for a while, but I'm focused on now getting out on, podcasts, conversations, sharing my story this way, doing more video stuff.
Yeah, it's a very important story you have.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys recognizing it. It really means a lot to me. And I'm going to continue going to city council meetings. I've learned, because I got to get some of these sheep behind the NPCs that are still asleep.
I got a crazy idea.
Yeah, go ahead.
How about we give you a link for your phone, and you hop in and you live stream yourself at the city council meetings, and we broadcast that for you.
We can do that too. I almost was going to record myself last night,
awesome.
But I didn't know if they were going to, if they're going to have a problem with that. But one thing I'm going to keep doing too is I'm going to go to protests. Whenever there's a protest or any of these local government elections, like if Abbott comes to town or Beto O'Rourke or any of these guys come here to Dallas, I'm going to go there with my signs. I only showed you guys 3 of my signs. I have like 15 homemade signs that I've made that I go out there and I just hold them up, and I'm going to start, I'll try and live stream there. But one of the things is it's hard to be passionate about live streaming because I'm so censored online that the only way I can get my story out is if I have people like you guys help me.
I'd like to volunteer if you got something going protest wise, and we're available, which we likely will be. We can be quite a bit of the time. You get us that link, we'll live stream it for you, and then we can also use our back end tech to maybe send it to your platform too. And then lend a friend a helping hand, because I think it's officially
Nice.
you are a friend of Isaac's Army after today.
Hey, I'm down. I appreciate Isaac's Army. And like I said, you guys, I was like, man, that was the other thing that was kind of hard. I reached out to Dave because the account unfollowed me. Well, when I got out of jail, I was like, man, why did they unfollow me? And I kind of have had trust issues with a lot of the accounts on X because, as you guys see, I can expose grifters. I can expose controlled opposition with my story.
You didn't
And
talk
I didn't
about
know
any
if you-
weeping walls, did you?
No.
Because Dave
No.
might, if you did, Dave might have clicked unfollow.
And that's I didn't know if you guys were controlled opposition, but then once he followed me
Dude,
back,
I've
and then
been
we
called
started
a fed,
DMing.
everything under the sun. Yeah.
This proves you're not.
I'm the most
If your
retarded
platform-
fed there possibly could be, if there is one.
My story proves you're not.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, dude.
I got
The
time for
Patriot
that.
Mobile thing needs to be heard. That's like a Dan Bongino and Parlor, same kind of deal, man. Like it's like they're surveilling like their most hardcore group of people. If you're gonna get Patriot Mobile, you're one of them guys that's flying the MAGA flag, flying wearing the hat every day. You're potentially a domestic terrorist, so I could totally see them using it as a system to monitor those people.
Yep, for sure.
And if they aren't,
Just like they
they're
do
definitely
with
building
Parler.
the infrastructure to do it right now.
I mean, we participate in it by using X and asking Grok questions. That's my thing with AI. It's like, I know you said you're a tech nerd and you love this stuff, but you understand the dangers of it. It's just such a weird line to walk.
It's all the
'Cause
biggest
it's like, you
double-edged
gotta
sword in the
embrace it, or
entire
you're gonna
world.
get left behind, or you try
Well,
to
you
live
just-
with a flip phone and go farming.
You can't stop the evolution. You can't stop the evolution of it. And also, that's like why I don't believe in brand boycotts. You guys are going to find this funny. Who do you think my cell phone's with?
T-Mobile.
It's still with T-Mobile.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Because I don't believe in brand boycotts. They don't work. Why am I going to switch to AT&T or Verizon when they're going to be nefarious too? I have a good deal with T-Mobile and I like the benefits that I have. I'm not going to switch to make my emotions feel better. Just like I'm not going to get rid of my Tesla. I love my car, but also I know that maybe next year it won't let me drive it because of some tweet I might say. Like that is a very big reality.
Yeah,
boy.
But
that is.
it's
That's
not
a
just the
valid
Tesla
point.
that does that. People also don't understand. OnStar has been in Chevy cars since like the early 2000s. They've been able to shut your car off since 2010. And you have cars that have been using drive-by-wire, steering, and gas and pedals for over 10 years. So it's not just the EVs that can be shut down. Half of these new cars that you purchased from any manufacturer over the past 10 years can be shut down or controlled.
That's
Yeah, I remember
there's a lot
mid-2000s,
of rabbit
like-
holes.
Yeah.
It's maybe some actresses and
OnStar,
some
man. I
polls
forgot
and-
about that. They would come over your intercom and just start talking to you. And yeah, that was wild. You didn't even need a cell phone or anything.
Yep.
That was and that was well before this AI boom.
For sure. So we got a lot of stuff to set a series up. So we'll get with you really soon, Mark. We want to have you on as much as you want to come on. I think there's a lot of topics and maybe even a joint show with 7Cs. So we got Webbs going and we got
That would be
and
so
we got,
awesome.
and we got Mark talking. Yeah, we got
Those
so much
two
stuff we got to do.
going- Oh my God.
I've been trying to get his
Please.
attention too. That's like where I reply to some people, and I think I'm hidden from a lot of people on X, and it depends on their platforms. Like if they're interested in some of the stuff, I've been trying to reply to 7Cs and a lot of people to share my story. So yeah, he's one that definitely is singing the same tune I am when it comes to what we're talking about.
He's
exposing the
a
fourth
friend of the
industrial
show.
revolution.
We've had him on twice.
Nice.
And, I'm sure we can definitely put that together. But I just, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thanks. Thanks for the sacrifice you've made to try to save America, try to save what we've all been so proud of for our entire existence.
I was hoping you were going to put that back up.
Let's just
freaks me
say
out,
it here.
man.
You are not suicidal, and almost as importantly, right above it, make sure, folks, that you do support Mark. You visit markpalasciano.com, follow him, subscribe to his Substack if you can. do whatever you can to keep this kind of news available to the general public, because without it, we can't change anything. There's nothing that we can ever do to slow down any of this demise. We have to all come together, and we just have to keep going. It's hard not to be black-pilled in these times, but please don't be. Show up, show out, share this show.
I mean, if black-pilled is being like right, then take the fucking black pill. You know, if it's using your common sense, they can label it whatever the fuck they want to, but you know, red pill, black, whatever. If the black pill makes sense, it's to stick with your gut and go with the part.
Well, the black pill,
you can be black pilled and still have hope.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the black pill just means you believe that nothing's going to change, but that doesn't mean you don't lose belief. You can still go out there and do the thing, but just know that there can be change if enough people listen and enough people talk and we get conversations seen. You never know what's possible. So again, please share this show. Visit marcpalasciano.com for more information on our great guest tonight. And stay tuned to our X feed. We've got so much stuff coming. And we're going to have Marc back on, and we're going to try to get you details on that as soon as possible. You know, maybe even tomorrow if we can break something down. But this has been an incredible night here on We Want Answers, and we can't wait to do it again. With that being said, I want to say good night to everybody. I want to thank you for your time. We'll see you real soon, but be sure when you go out there to take care of yourself and each other. For John, for Dave, for Marc Palasciano, I'm Big Sean. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon.
Peace.